Good evening. It's not Saturday, it's Friday night, but I thought that I would do the video tonight. I'm just looking for the book is Strong Delusions and Lies by Britiany, a Christian. That's me. Believe it or not, it is me. I did write it. Anyway, I'm going to read chapter 2 of Strong Delusion and Lies. And let's get on with it. I'll read this first. This book was done by Riseville Publishers, a division of Riseville Ventures. First edition was January 2014. That was almost 10 years ago. All scriptures contained herein are from the Old and New Testaments of the authorized King James Version of the Bible, which is public domain. All photos and text copyright 2014 by Britiany, a Christian. All rights reserved. Okay, let's go to chapter 2. We're finally here. Rose woke as Abigail nudged her shoulder. Rose, I have to go to the restroom. Rose put her seat up so Abby could have more room to sidle past her. Abby made her way to the restroom, and Rose leaned back in her seat, quietly enjoying the soft roar of the plane. All she could think about is that they were getting ever closer to their destination. She looked at her wristwatch. Israel was 2 hours away. She was surprised. She must have slept quite a while. I need to figure out a way to open those pages easier. These flies are still out. I can't believe it. Just then the man across the way spoke to her. I see that the plane ride doesn't bother you. You look so at peace. While you were sleeping, I envy you. The man said with a faint accent that sounded Russian. He lifted his cup to her. I can't fly without a couple of drinks to soothe my nerves. I hate flying, he said with a sigh. I wish I could have your peace. You looked as though you were smiling when you were sleeping. Rose looked over at him and smiled as she answered, This is my first plane ride, but I leave it all in the hands of the Lord. If he wants me to reach my destination, I will. And that gives me a great deal of peace. The man's face showed surprise. She watched him, enjoying the freedom to look at his face more closely. She could tell that he was older, maybe around her age. The laugh lines around her mouth and eyes gave away that he must smile a great deal. He is certainly a very good-looking man, Rose thought to herself. She looked for a ring on his hand and couldn't see one. He watched her quizzically and asked, You have never flown before? That is amazing. You must surely be Jewish. No, I'm a Christian, she replied softly with a smile. I just believe that God is in control of everything. I just leave my life in His hands, and He puts His path in front of me, and I follow. He looked thoughtful as he watched her face. And you and the woman are going to Israel? For what reason? He asked. He looked, oh, wait a minute. The woman is my sister. And yes, we are going to Israel because it was something I have wanted to do all of my life. Pages. I want to walk where my Savior Jesus walked. I have longed to be in Israel for a long time. My soul yearns for it. You come from Atlanta, right? The man asked, smiling again, quickly changing the subject. I like his smile. It's so sincere, Rose thought to herself as she answered him. Well, actually, we live a ways from Atlanta. We live in a small town about 60 miles from there. And you, do you live in Atlanta? Rose queried, very curious about this man that was so openly studying her. No, actually, I live in Israel. I went to Atlanta to see my sister and her family. She is married to an American businessman, and they live in Atlanta. Just then, Abigail came back from the restroom. Rose decided to go to the restroom herself. And as Abigail sat down, Rose got up and made her way down the aisle. When Rose came back, she saw Abigail and the men having an animated conversation. Suddenly, jealousy stabbed her heart. She had never felt that way before with Abigail, and it shocked her. I'm certainly acting crazy over a man I barely know, Rose thought, as she chastised herself about her feelings and sat back in her seat. The captain came on the intercom and announced that they were descending to Tel Aviv. Good, Rose mused herself. This will be over in a little while, and I won't have to see that man again. She sure was getting silly in her old age. Soon the plane was descending onto the runway. Rose took her hand to reassure her, and Abigail took her hand to reassure her, and Rose closed her eyes as the wheels dropped onto the pavement, and the plane started braking. They taxied for what seemed forever, and then they were parked, and the personnel connected the jetway for them to leave the plane. Rose and Abigail grabbed their carry-on items from the overhead above them and walked down a long hallway into the airport. It was so exciting to see all the different people in Ben Gurion Airport from all over the world. They were all walking about in a hurry, trying to get to their destinations. Rose couldn't believe the diversity of nationalities. Rose wondered about this until she realized that the Jews were coming back from all over the world, from many different countries, to settle in Israel. Once again, there were people of different shades of olive complexion, black and white, and many Asiatic people, as well as Arabs with their robes and headdress. The girls went to pick up their luggage from the carousel, and Rose jumped when a man's voice spoke into her ear. We have to stop meeting like this. Startled, she, oh my goodness, these flies. Hold on a second.